God's grace got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing high, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. And some just clap their hands or pause or anything they got now. Listen to the bass, it's the one on the bottom where the bullfrog croaks and the hippopotamus moans and groans with the big to-do, and the old cow just goes moo.
Well, the dogs and the cats, they take up the mill, the honeybee hums and the crickets kills, the donkey brays and the pony neighs, the old coyote howls. All God's grace got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing high, some sing out loud on the telephone wire, and some just clap their hands or pause or anything they got now. Well, listen to the top where the little bird sings the melody with the high notes ringing. The hoot-owl hollers over everything, and the jaybird disagrees. Singing in the nighttime, singing in the day, the little duck quacks and he's on his way. The possum don't have much to say, and the porcupine talks to herself. All God's grace got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire, and some just clap their hands or pause for anything they got now. Everybody here is a part of the plan. We all get to play in the great big band, from the eagle in the sky to the whale in the sea. It's one great symphony. All God's grace got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire, and some just clap their hands or pause or anything they got now. All God's grace got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire, and some just clap their hands or pause or anything they got now.
That was fun. Good morning. Welcome to the home of the Calgary Unitarians. We enjoy ourselves here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, welcome. If you are visiting for the first time, or for the first time in a long time, know that we are grateful to have you with us. We come together in beloved community to grow in wisdom, to welcome and deepen relationships, and to act for a just and sustainable world. We recognize our responsibility to be stewards of this land and acknowledge that we do that with those for whom this is their traditional territory, the people of the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Bearspaw, Wesley First Nations, and of the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta, which was signed September 22nd, 1877. Mohkinstsis, now known as the City of Calgary, is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. In offering this land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been the stewards and accept our shared responsibility for being good caretakers. We acknowledge that treaties were entered into as a collaboration between settlers and the Indigenous people, making us all treaty people. My name is Conrad Ayasi, and I have the pronouns he and him, and I have the privilege of serving on your board of trustees. This congregation is special to me because here I can apply my religious, humanistic, and spiritual values in a supportive environment. Please join us after the service for a virtual coffee hour where we meet in small breakout rooms and get a chance to socialize live. Also, please stay after coffee today for a town hall if you can. The COSM, which is the Committee for Shared Ministry, and the board recently approved some changes to the disruptive behavior policy, and we wish to discuss these changes along with a proposed bylaw change at a town hall meeting today after coffee. If you are in a coffee breakout room, just come back to the main room at 12:15 if you wish to join the town hall. Many members of COSM and the board will be there to answer your questions. And one more very important item. The Board of Trustees wishes to express a very big thank you to our long-term staff, Reverend Deborah Falk, Musical Director Jane Perry, Director of Religious Exploration Sheila McMaster, for their outstanding work over the years since the COVID pandemic began. The need to work virtually imposed a lot of extra work on each of these staff, from which they responded with great diligence, humor, and fantastic creativity. With the help of the AV team, they have in many ways been the concrete holding the congregation together and keeping it viable during this challenging time. For this, we are enormously thankful, and we again send our wonderful thanks to you. And now over to Reverend Deborah for the lighting of the chalice.
We light a chalice to remind ourselves of the flame that burns within each of our hearts. Remembering that when flame meets flame, match meets candle, the two become one, belonging to each other. Many flames join together to form the warmth of community, of congregation, of city, of nation. We gather together to remind ourselves of our inner lights and join them with others to light the way to good world community. We know that before we can shine a light on that path, we must remind ourselves of who we are. We are unique individuals. We are Unitarians, Universalists, Canadians, most of us, friends, visitors, and seekers. Holding all of this, we light our chalice. Well, we're all critters here. I love that. I love that prelude. And thanks so much to Euphonia. By the way, that is just a carrot for the cabaret that will be happening next Friday. Make sure you're there. You'll hear that piece again. And there's a few characters here this morning that I particularly want to thank. Our amazing AV team for sure, Jim and Paul. And also Bob, who will polish up the service to go on our YouTube. I want to thank Conrad from the board for his words, members of the stewardship team who are here this morning, Brandis, and also our members testimonial person, Delina. I want to thank Laura, my worship arts facilitator this morning. It takes many hands to bring together this service, and has been expressed already by Conrad, my deep gratitude to our staff, Music Director Jane Perry and Sheila McMaster. It takes so many to create beloved community and to keep these services happening. This day last year, actually March 23rd, was the last time that any of us did any part of the service from our sanctuary. It was the first time we did a hybrid service where some people were at home and some were in the room. We've learned a lot in this year, and it's in some ways surprising that it's been a whole year. May the lessons we've learned and may the gratitude that has filled us with being community throughout this year be lessons to carry us forward. And now let us sing together our opening song, for truly the light is growing, and our song is, with joy we claim the growing light.
With joy we claim the growing light, advancing thought and widening view. The larger freedom, clearer sight, which from the old unfold the new. With wider view come loftier goal, with fuller light, more good to see. With freedom true as self-control, with knowledge deeper reverence be.
Oh, good morning, everyone. You got me cooking my chili this morning for Chili Sunday. Some of you might have been sent out a couple of great recipes from the stewardship team, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, put that on the stove over here. I'm Sheila McMaster, DRE for the Children and Youth at the Calgary Unitarians, and it is such a wonderful day. The kids today at 1 o'clock in their class are going to be learning about Bob and Otto and the differences with worms and caterpillars and how we're all interconnected. And the youth today are going to be talking about friendship and the importance of sharing our differences. And now I have, and also in the newsletter this week, we have a wonderful butterfly and chrysalis craft to try out. So check out our newsletter this week. And I have a great story called Bob and Otto, and it's by Robert O. Bruwell with pictures by Nick Bruwell. And here we go. I love this story. Bob and Otto. Once there were two very good friends, Bob and Otto. It was spring, and everything was lively and exciting. And these two very good friends spent each day digging in the ground, playing in the grass, and eating the leaves that fell from the old tree. But one day, Bob looked up, way up. I need to climb this tree, he said. I want to look how the world looks from up there. Up there, said Otto, but it's so nice down here. When it's hot and dry, you can dig deep into the ground, and when it's cool and damp, and when it rains, you can come back up. Life is good just where we are. Why would you want to go up there? Because it's important, said Bob, and up he went. It's important down here too, said Otto, and down into the ground he went. Bob climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed until he was very high in the tree, and Otto dug, and he dug, and he dug, until he was very deep under the tree. These fresh green leaves are very tasty up here, thought Bob. So he ate, and he ate, and he ate, until he felt quite sleepy. These old rotted leaves are very tasty down here, thought Otto, but he dug, and he dug, and he dug, until he felt quite sleepy. So Bob slept, and he slept, and he slept, and he slept for many nights. But Otto still dug, and he dug, and he dug, and he dug, and he dug some more. when Bob woke up. He was so full of joy, he felt like flying. So he flew over and around every branch of the tree and under. And Otto loved digging so much, he dug over and under and around every root of the tree. Soon, Bob realized how much he missed his old friend and all of the fun they used to have together. And soon, Otto realized how much he missed his old friend and all of the fun they used to have together. So, down went Bob to find Otto. And so up went Otto to find Bob. Hello, Bob. Hello, Otto. I like your wings. Thanks. So, you can fly? Sure can. Otto? Why are you sad? Because, said Otto, if I had climbed up the old tree with you when you asked me to, then maybe I would have grown big, beautiful wings like yours, and maybe I could fly. But I didn't. All I did was dig and dig and dig and dig and dig some more, but I'm still just a big fat worm. No, you're not, said Bob. While you were digging, all I did was eat. And while you were digging, all I did was sleep. And while you were digging, all I did was fly around. But while you were digging, you loosened the soil so the roots could drink water, so the tree could grow tall, so the leaves would be green, so I could eat the leaves and grow wings. I owe it all to you, Otto, said Bob. You're not just a worm, you're my best friend. And friends are important. There we go. Bob and Otto. And as our quote in this week's newsletter said, best friends never have the same nature. They just have the best understanding of their differences. And as we come together in community today, know that we're all different with different ways that we each contribute. And it might be financial or a gift of time, volunteering, or a gift of spirit, sharing with one another. And all of us living beings play a special part in our Unitarian ecosystem, realizing that we're all interdependent friends. And as Bob and Otto would say, friends are important. And now to Reverend Deborah for our centering time.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for that story, and thank you for being my friend. I invite us now to a time of centering, first with words, then silence, and a musical response. The words to take us into the silence are by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker. And she titles this, In the Midst of the World. In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction and who, with faith, stand and lead in freedom, with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage, or tenderness and wonder. There must be those whose grief troubles the waters, while their voices sing and speak refreshed worlds. There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth's joys. There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor. And there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be religious witness. In religious community, we share our joys and our triumphs, our sorrows and our broken places. In this circle of care, we make space for the complexities of life, the myriad experiences that bless and break our hearts. The truth of human experience dictates that on any given day, we each come to the table with our hearts in different places. We are the Bob and Ottos in the world. We take time to light candles in recognition of the joys, the sorrows, and the milestones in our world and in our lives. In lighting of these candles is the recognition of our shared humanity. Our global candle today recognizes that today is UN Day for the eradication of racial discrimination. We long for a day when there is no discrimination because of race or any other attribute. Today is also Nowruz, New Year's Day for our Zoroastrian cousins. And so our global candle has that dual focus. As I light our global candle, I invite you to name aloud or hold in silence those global concerns on which you wish to shed light today. There's concerns and sorrows in our community as well. There's so much pain and anxiety these days, so many losses and anniversaries of losses. May sorrow shared bring some comfort. There are members of this beloved community currently in hospital, and many of us or our loved ones are suffering illness of body, mind, or spirit. May the loving thoughts extended be received as healing energy. So much uncertainty of safe housing, of adequate food, and many financial and other stresses. As I light our candle of concern, I invite you to speak aloud or hold in silence those sorrows and concerns resting on your heart. Along with life's sorrows and tribulations, there's also joy and celebration. We celebrate your presence here today, a joy to come together and also to welcome new visitors who are becoming friends in our midst. There have been the announcement to me of new babies on the way, of recovery from illness, of relationship conflicts resolved, and wedding anniversaries, celebration of new housing, and also so many folks letting me know that they are getting their vaccine shots. I get mine, first one tomorrow. Let us hold the joy of the season of spring with us now officially today. And as I light our candle of joy and celebration, I invite you to speak aloud or hold in silence those individuals and situations brightening your heart today. We celebrate this community, all it gives us individually and collectively, and our individual capacity to contribute to it. I invite you to join Laura and me in our responsive reading. I will read the solid text, and I invite those over 55 to join me. And Laura will read the italicized and invite those under 55 to join her. This responsive reading, blessed are those. Blessed are those who yearn for deepening more than escape, who are not afraid to grow in spirit.
Blessed are those who take seriously the bonds of community, who regularly join in celebration and learning, who come as much to minister as to be ministered unto.
Blessed are those who bring their children, who invite their friends to come along, to join in fellowship, service, learning, and growth.
Blessed are those who support the congregation and its work by their regular, sustained, and generous giving, and who give of themselves no less than their money.
Blessed are those who know that the congregation is often imperfect, yet rather than harbor feelings of anger or disappointment, bring their concerns and needs to the attention of the congregational leaders.
Blessed are those who, when asked to serve, do it gladly, who realize that change is brought about through human meeting, who do the work of committees and stay till the end.
Blessed are those who speak their minds in meetings, who can take and give criticism, who keep alive their sense of humor.
Blessed are those who know that the work of the congregation is the transformation of society, who have a vision of beloved community transcending the present, and who do not shrink from controversy, sacrifice, or change.
Blessed are they indeed. During the month of March, we have our stewardship campaign. Each Unitarian Universalist congregation is self-sustaining and relies on the generosity of members and friends, as well as building rentals and fundraising to maintain programs, staff, and physical space. The pledges, that is the financial support that one intends to contribute, knowing that circumstances can change. So it is an expression of intention. Those pledges are our most significant resource. It helps shape our budget and priorities. And by the way, and this is brand new news, Jane Perry, our amazing director of music, has expressed interest in increasing 5 hours per week with her time with us, if our budget can support it. I add that to your discernment about what your pledge will be this year. This past year has had its challenges, and we managed, as we have for all but one of my 11 years here, to have a surplus. Healthy finances are a sign of a healthy community. It's something that both the interim and the new settled minister will look at. We have for the past number of years, which I guess makes it a tradition, had this Sunday recognized as Commitment Sunday. When we are together physically, each of you would come forward or hold up your envelope to be collected. The envelope would include either your pledge card, acknowledgement that you have already made your pledge, or what your intention is. You would then receive a handshake. I wonder if we will ever go back to handshakes, or if elbow bumps is going to be the new handshake. Anyway, you would receive a handshake from the president, from me, the minister, and from the stewardship team chair. And then you would receive a small token of appreciation. We are going to modify this commitment ritual for our virtual space. So to begin, let's first hear from Delina.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Delina Watson, and I was initially introduced to the Home of the Unitarians after receiving an invitation to listen to Euphonia, which is one of the Calgary Unitarian choirs. That was in 2016. The music program was a significant element in inviting me in further. First, to become a friend of the Calgary Unitarians in 2017, and then after researching the history and principles, a member in 2018. I find the music program to be transporting and soul repairing. It is diverse, thoughtfully selected, and full of hope and inspiration. The music lifts me up. It takes me away. It holds me in a sacred space, and then connects me with the past, the present, and looking forward to the future. For me, the music program kindles optimism and renews my awareness of the beauty in the world. Calgary Unitarians are welcoming. There is an unconditional positive regard for everyone. Obvious efforts have been made to be inclusive. In particular, there is high regard for the LGBTQ community, the Indigenous community, and the disabled community. This welcoming, inclusive stance has high value for me. We are all treaty people. Being a member has gifted me with a community that strives to make the world a better place, a community that works tirelessly to remain self-aware, to deepen relationships, and act for justice. The Calgary Unitarians are a community in process, evolving in real time. During the pandemic, I have stayed connected to the Calgary Unitarian community. They have responded quickly to the challenges of the pandemic and created many virtual choice offerings and ways to stay connected. There's been several music offerings, theme-based learning circles, religious studies, learning about grief, reconciliation, environmental stewardship, justice, and social connections through virtual coffee groups, pub nights, and even a sewing circle. You can search the website Calgary Unitarians, all one word, .ca, and explore the principles, sources, aspirations of Unitarians, as well as the abundant range of offerings. Personally, I have taken part of the virtual services, theme-based learning circles, the music concerts, the Christmas cake fundraiser, and the time and talent fundraiser. I have chosen to give monthly to the Calgary Unitarians, knowing that the Unitarian Universalist vision of the world, in which our interdependence calls us to love and justice, is being enacted in thought, word, and deed. This is evident to me by the ongoing open process of engagement and involvement with the members and the wider community. The home of the Calgary Unitarians is where I come, virtually or otherwise, to rest, reflect, revitalize, rejuvenate, recover, and to build resilience within a safe community. It is a retreat from the chaotic world and a community that actively supports diversity. May we all remain well and healthy until we are able to meet again in person. Stay safe, stay well, stay connected to the Calgary Unitarian community.
Thanks, Delina, for your warm words about being a Calgary Unitarian. I'm Brandis Purcell. I'm on the stewardship team, and I expect you know that it's stewardship time again. We ask each of you today to reflect on what this community of Unitarians means to you. How does it enhance your life? What do you find here that you cherish and wish to continue? Please think about how you can help our beloved community with a pledge of contributions for the coming year. Some pledges have already come in. We know that not everyone can pledge in the same way. Some can give a little, Some can give a lot. Please, be as generous as you can. If you're new to our congregation and haven't received a personal pledge package, you can find out about our stewardship process on our website. You can make a pledge simply by sending an email to pledge@calgaryunitarians.ca or click on the address in the chat. Your donations, of course, will be tax deductible. If we were physically together, we'd be coming up to place our pledges in a basket. Since we cannot do that now, instead, we encourage you to pledge at the end of the service today and before the town hall scheduled today at 12:15. I want to encourage you to do your electronic pledging right after this service so that we can show you an update of the slide at the beginning of the town hall meeting. In any case, please make your pledge by Saturday, March 27th. Then you're all welcome to join us on March 28th for the Sunday service when we'll bring you up to date on how the campaign is going and announce the lucky winner of a gift basket full of wine, chocolate, homemade jam, a set of lovely wine glasses, and other goodies. Yes, there will be only one lucky winner of the basket, but we are all lucky to be involved in the oh so many ways Calgary Unitarians come together. As we cannot be physically together this campaign, we want to offer a virtual version of our commitment ritual in which you can participate. This will be in the form of a poll, and we invite everyone gathered here today to respond. We'll take a few minutes now to reflect on our commitment to this beloved community.
Thank you, everyone, for filling in the poll. Thank you also in advance for filling in your pledge at the end of the service. I just so appreciate our AV team, and we know there's a few glitches, and they're just awesome, and it's totally okay. This is just how we run with it all. Let us join our voices together in singing one of the hymns that I think really identifies what a community, particularly this community, is all about. We laugh, we cry.
We need we search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
When, as a 3-year-old, I began asking questions about death and life and how things grow, why, a 3-year-old's favorite word, my parents sought out a community to help answer my questions. And they found this congregation. And it became a spiritual as well as a social home for our family. My parents were wise to seek out a community, finding a community that offers an ethical grounding for children brings people here. And not just children. There have been so many who have come asking the big questions of life, seeking an elusive missing in their lives, a sense of both, searching for a sense of both deeper depth and connection with others and with what we name as the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. One of the most difficult decisions of my life was when I was 7 months pregnant with my second child and my firstborn, only one, I realized I could not stay in the relationship with their dad. We lived on an island with a population of 12, a Coast Guard search and rescue station where he was employed. Separation meant my leaving the island, leaving our home, and my family were thousands of kilometers away. I couldn't stay, and yet where would I go? I longed for and knew I needed a community of support. Then the awareness came upon me, the closest town with a Unitarian congregation. There would be a beloved community, welcoming arms and hearts, a place for me to land and regroup. People who would support me without judgment. At least that was the vision I held to as I made the decision to leave. And I moved to the town of Courtenay on Vancouver Island and immediately had surrogate grandparents for my son and a network of support for me that was beyond my hope. This is what beloved community can be. This is what we strive to be. There were people who lived out respectful and loving companionship among human beings whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. I came wounded and fearful and was held in loving embrace. I know many who have come to this community and felt the same. Beloved community invites love to be present in the pastoral and caring support that we give each other. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor, Rebecca Parker said. When I came here 11 years ago, one of the things that drew me to this congregation was the active engagement with social justice. The youth of this congregation inspired and created a 500-meter long and over a meter wide rainbow banner, inviting people from across the country to contribute colored fabric for its creation. Those youth were then sponsored by Canadian UUs to take the banner to Parliament Hill during the time of the vote of legalizing same-sex marriage. Their story and a piece of that banner is now on display at the National Museum of History. And we too in this congregation have a piece of that banner and have just been asked again if another congregation that is being recognized as, we call it welcoming, inclusive of GBLTQ plus people, if they can borrow our banner. We keep this kind of outreach to the community. The very first event I participated here during my week-long interview as your potential candidate was to climb the Calgary Tower to raise funds for Alberta wildlife. The incredible efforts of the Refugee Committee currently, the times when this congregation has offered sanctuary, the way when I go to now a Calgary Alliance for the Common Good meeting and see always a Unitarian represented in the social justice work of the wider community, these are ways that social justice lives out in this community. This is the wisdom of this community. So many examples of my understanding of the possibility of beloved community, a term I know you've heard me use often, and one that was adopted into our current purpose statement. And I do believe that creating beloved community here within this congregation and into the wider community is a very wise thing in keeping us relevant. The term, as I have come to know it, came from the ministry of Martin Luther King Jr. Creating the beloved community of love and justice is a term he used throughout his lifelong call to justice. He beautifully coined this term to mean that Christian sense of creating the kingdom of God here and now, a community with freedom and equity for all. This is also what I think our Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist communities are all about, creating here and now rather than waiting for some afterlife. This invites us into potentially deeper and more authentic notion of community. It speaks to our sixth Unitarian principle, the goal of a world community with peace and justice for all. And also the first principle of the affirmation of the inherent worth and dignity of each person. King's vision of beloved community made the distinction between desegregation and integration. Desegregation, he said, can be legislated and made law. It is still a negative and externally enforced. Integration is a matter of the heart as well. The recognition of the interconnectedness. And we are engaged in this process again, in the work that we are doing to become truly anti-racist in our individual actions and as a whole community. And the key to this integration is love. Here, I mean that while we can intellectually engage in issues of justice, it is when our hearts are touched, then our whole selves engage, and we are living as participants in beloved community. I think the reality is that there will always be more concerns requiring our attention and action. Always more opportunities to live out the ideals of beloved community. always a chance to draw on the wisdom of others within the community as we do that work together. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." There are some things in our social system to which all of us ought to be maladjusted. Hatred and bitterness can never cure the disease of fear. Only love can do that. We must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. And the foundation of such a method is love. So, what I've tried to do so far is identify characteristics of beloved community, of the wisdom present in our community. And I've named two, that is caring or pastoral care, and loving our neighbor and justice seeking. There is, I think, an overarching aspect that binds us together. That is the meaning of religion, to bind together. And for me, that overall binding force is inspiration. I have been inspired by every Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist community I've known. Some more than others, I have to admit. But this one, most of all. When I see how we have responded to the current times and maintained such connection, I am inspired. When I attend meetings and I hear the deep commitment and vision of so many, I'm inspired. When I've had the incredible opportunity to meet with people individually, some struggling, some mourning, some in discernment and some in celebration, I am so inspired. There are so many ways that inspiration finds its way into beloved community. Inspiration comes from, hopefully, sometimes the words spoken, I would say from the pulpit, as it is here. It comes from conversations shared and actions that we do together. It may come from music, as Delina has talked about, or from writing. It can come from connecting and from caring. It comes from recognizing the Otto and the Bob in each of us and being filled with joy for that. The joy in this faith community is that from wherever inspiration comes, we can witness it, welcome it, and be fueled by it. Might sound commonplace to many of you, and yet I would say it is one of the greatest gifts, one of the deepest wisdoms that we offer as a liberal faith community, that we draw inspiration from wherever it may come. Our willingness to witness inspiration from all and any source is unique. Inspiration is, of course, an individual experience, and what inspires one may mean nothing to the person beside them. My colleagues and I often repeat this as a mantra while preparing services for such a diverse audience. What's meaningful to Bob might mean nothing or not inspire Otto. Inspiration is not solely something that makes us feel good or uplifted. As you might recall, Rebecca Parker said, "In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction, and who, with faith, stand and lead in freedom, with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen, of sorrow and outrage, or tenderness and wonder." There must be those whose grief troubles the water while their voices sing and speak fresh worlds. There must be some things to which we are all maladjusted. Inspiration is what motivates the other aspects of beloved community, I think. It is what makes this a religious community, to be in spirit, inspirited, and inspired. And there's too is the rub. What inspires one may not inspire another, as we have said. So we are called to step beyond our individual particularities and be invited into community. We are invited to become friends. I want to just say that this community is a beloved community. We keep striving and working towards it. We keep fueling each other with our commitment to this community. And I invite us to now sing that commitment with the song, Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered, burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of the living brings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
The field of promise. What we are, we have reached because of other people's planting. The thoughts, the values, the ideas, and the feelings we possess are articulate because we have been the recipients of knowledge, kindness, love, and understanding. And above all, the mystery we call life, we owe to a presence yet unknown, yet still very near to us. For these gifts, not our own, we give thanks. And now, may we have faith in life to do wise plantings, that the generations to come may reap ever more abundantly than we. May we be reminded of the wise ones of old who admonished, if you plan for 1 year, plant grain. If you plan for 10 years, plant trees. If you plan for centuries, plant souls. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, that the fields of promise become fields of reality. And now I invite Deborah to extinguish the chalice.
We lit this chalice to draw us into community, a reminder that the flame that burns within each of our hearts joins together to form the warmth of community. For here we do plant souls. As we extinguish the flame, we take the warmth of community within, recognizing again the inner light that is within each of us. I now invite you to join us for coffee. To get there, you can click on the link that's in the chat or through the link in your order of service or on the website.
I am.
On your way to coffee, why not fill in your electronic pledge form and join us at 12:15 for an update and for the town hall meeting. And now let us sing our sung benediction, Spirit of Life, accompanying by Tree U.